right, welcome back to Good Day. Back talking with Heath Garrett with Fix the Debt. Now, Heath, big words that people have been throwing out there in our vocabulary of recent. Sequestration. A lot of folks had never heard of that word before, don't even know really what it means. Break it down for us simply. Just give it to us. Tell us what it is and how it might affect folks right here in Southwest Georgia.
Well, Chris, actually sequestration is one of those terms that only Washington, D.C. could come up with. Right. It's way too long of a word to describe cuts to the federal budget. It was a gimmick actually designed to try to force Republicans and Democrats in the Congress to work together to solve our long-term deficit and debt problem in this country. You know, our country has a $16.2 trillion debt, and the idea was if we could cut enough programs that matter to people, like health care and like tours at the White House and all the things we've been hearing about, then maybe the Congress would get together and work to solve the long-term problems of the debt. Unfortunately, they didn't come together, fix it in time, and so those cuts are now being implemented across the board.
And so now it's kind of turned to the cuts happening and actually coming to fruition, and then you got folks saying, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault.
That's right.
And the bickering continues.
We're back to the blame game. And what Fix the Debt is about, we're a bipartisan organization established by Democrats like Sam Nunn from Georgia, former senator from Georgia, and U.S. Senator Saxby Chambliss from right here in Southwest Georgia. Yeah. Republicans and Democrats trying to get the country to focus on what we have to do to really fix these long-term problems and not do these harsh across-the-board cuts.
Right, and when you talk about harsh cuts, now here locally we've been talking about the airport and especially the control tower itself and things along those lines. Is that really a problem, do you see, for local areas such as Albany, Southwest Georgia?
Absolutely, Chris. I know that there are over 236 airports like the Albany Airport, like McCollum Field in Marietta, Georgia, and others who are losing their air traffic controllers through this sequestration. What the Congress didn't do is prioritize where our cuts ought to go. Yeah. They're just across the board, and they're going to eventually jeopardize public safety. So hopefully this is going to be a motivation for everybody in Washington to do what I know can be done, what we believe can be done, which is get together and prioritize where we need to cut and not jeopardize health and public safety.
Right. Yeah. Now, these cuts, they've gone into effect, I guess, on a small note. And right. I hear some folks being furloughed and things like that. You hear that word kind of passed around, especially at some military bases in Georgia. I've heard about that. And we've also seen functions at the Albany MCLB here, Marine Corps Logistics Base here, kind of, we're not going to do it, we're not going to do it, you know, because of this. Do you see it becoming more of a problem locally? Well,
there's no question that from the Fix the Debt perspective, the cuts that were implemented are overwhelmingly in our national security and national defense field. And while those cuts are being talked about in furloughs in the longer term, if this were to go longer, it's not only going to hurt the local economy here in Southwest Georgia, but more importantly, we're going to jeopardize the national security of our nation. And that is still the #1 role of the federal government, to defend this nation. We're still at risk. We can't go forward with these kind of willy-nilly sequestrations. We need serious prioritization. We can't get rid of our national security, and right now, that's a big target.
Okay, well, we'll talk more with you in just a few minutes. Time now to turn it back on over to Kelly. Kelly. All right, welcome back to Good Day. We're back talking with Heath Garrett, and we're talking about fixing the debt. Now then, of course, it's been a big problem and kind of an ongoing one that's just kind of hit a snowball effect, you know, over time. And of course, there's a lot of battle going on in D.C. over who's right, who's wrong, what to do, what not to do. But what can people on a level here in Southwest Georgia, what can we do as a voice, you know, to try and say, hey, you know, why don't you guys get your act together, do this. We don't want our tower at our airport shut down. We don't want our Marine Corps Logistics Base. We don't want anything like that, you know, being trimmed back. We want jobs. We want the whole 9 yards.
Well, actually, it's pretty simple. A lot of people think that they don't need to contact their congressman or their senator. They don't listen. And actually, it's the opposite. U.S. senators, U.S. congressmen, your elected officials, they do listen. They listen to emails. They listen to phone calls. They listen to snail mail, old-fashioned letters, whatever it takes. What we at Fix the Debt are trying to do is make sure that everybody knows they need to contact their elected officials, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, and let them know we want to fix this debt so that we're not leaving the next generation with debt that cannot be paid. $16.2 trillion. We've got to curb the spending in Washington. We have a spending problem. Everybody's going to have to get a little bit of pain, but we shouldn't be kind of willy-nilly picking and choosing things that are going to affect public safety, national security, and those kind of things. So the elected officials will listen to the people if we actually contact them.
All right, so take me through the contact, ways to contact your local elected officials. What's the easiest, best way to do it, and maybe something that everybody can think of and do?
Well, actually, yeah, the easiest thing to do is to actually just go in and Google the name of elected representative or Washington, D.C. or Congress, and then you can easily email from any website to the congressman, to your congressman, to the U.S. senators, those kind of things. You also can call them. All of their phone numbers are in the phone book and are easily accessible by Yellow Pages or whitepages.com on the internet. But the call or the email is the easiest. And believe it or not, they do count those calls and those emails, and they hold on to them.
Because when you really think about it, they're counting votes in a sense.
That's
If
exactly
if a
right.
voter, myself or you included, hey, we call our congressman and whatever and say, hey, look, we'll look into this. What's your take on this? What do you think you can do? And and then you maybe hear about them doing something on the floor of the Congress and the Senate, and then we work from there. And everybody's vote's important.
That's absolutely right. I think too many people think that their voice doesn't count, and it's actually the opposite.
Right.
At the end of the day, these folks have staffs. They count these calls. They count the emails. They show them to the U.S. senators. They show them to the House members. But we, the people, need to let them know we do want the debt fixed, that we want people in Washington to get along and come up with good, solid solutions that are balanced, but that we don't leave a debt for our next generation.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something we can all agree on as voters, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, or what have you. So we're all in the same country. Let's all work together for the best in our country and fix that debt. All right, Kelly, on over to you.